right. It's Friday night. We are here. It's been a crazy week. Started off or ended last week with Mark out in New Jersey at Falcon Space getting visited by the FBI by a supposed special UAP UFO investigation. I guess two guys, and they were on a false tip of enriched uranium, which it's like that would have to be like.
Yeah, we still don't know if that's the real reason, because like when I said that to this, I got Danny Jones on the phone. Like he's like, oh, let me call Jim Diorio and get him on right now. Like and he knew the guy we thought was originally the FBI agent, and we was like, oh, this guy. I originally reported that FBI agent was that we found was into money laundering investigations, but he had retired like 3 months ago, and now he's working for the state attorney general's office for New Jersey. So that we thought that was super weird, but then they went and looked into it, and they confirmed that wasn't the two guys that visited us. He wasn't one of the two guys that visited us. So they still won't confirm the identity of the two guys that visited us. But I'm thinking our next step might be to get a FOIA request for Mark's FBI records, because if we get his FBI file, anyone can do this. You can file a FOIA and get your FBI file. No one can file and get your FBI file, but you can FOIA and get your own file.
I want my FBI file. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so
everybody needs to do this, right? You need.
I think
to
we
know
all should do it.
What are they
now.
wasting their money on? Why are they looking into people?
If we are all under FBI investigation, because we all might be, you even people who watch this channel might be under. Remember, during the COINTELPRO, they exposed FBI records. This is one of the things that I point out, which is the fantasy that a lot of these people believe that disclosure is going to happen in a skiff, or that it's going to happen through Congress, through anyone in Washington, D.C. It's not. Disclosure has happened historically through leaks, through whistleblowers. It's generally a hero,
technology as well, right? And
everyone likes to think that that they would do the right thing given that scenario, right? But the Milgram experiment proved otherwise. They put just random people from all walks of life in the position of being able to kill a person with a consecutively higher voltage, and knowing that the last one on the list was a lethal dose and would kill the person. 95% of the people who had the authority to do so given to them through the people in the experiment would choose to hit that button thinking they were actually killing someone. And so that's how the Nazis got away with that, what they did. And everyone likes to think that but only 5% will become a hero and actually stand up, And we know from the history of what happened in Abu Ghraib prison, there was one guy that was seeing all this happen, horrible human rights violations, what they did to those people in Abu Ghraib. And that was allowed to happen because they were isolated, given all the authority and no oversight. So that's why that was allowed to happen. Anytime there's no oversight and absolute authority and anonymity.
When it goes dark, it brings out the darkest of humanity. Sometimes it seems.
Yeah. And that guy had to hide his family and hide his identity for years until those people were all like prosecuted and put, and it was all over, because there were people trying to go after him for exposing what was the pictures. He went and got all the cell phone pictures that they were sharing, and he went and published them all, you know what I mean, of what they were doing to the prisoners there. So everyone likes to think that they would be the one to stand up and be a hero, but heroes are few and far between.
Julian Assange, Bradley to Chelsea Manning, the latest dude that was sharing the NATO intelligence on his video game server buddy chat, ended up like all of them in jail or forever. Edward Snowden having to go to Siberia.
So the deep state loves to float around, fake whistleblowers and hope porn actors to get everyone's hopes up, and that think that this disclosure is going to happen through these channels. And as much as I wanted to believe it and didn't want it to be, so I think it's all coming undone, especially this week when the excuse they first tried to give was that, like he didn't have the money to get flight expenses or travel expenses to go testify, and then and now that he did testify, there was just no real interest in any of the information being discussed. Yeah, so I did a poll on Twitter and asked people what their thoughts were on where disclosure would come from. And yeah, it's true. Disclosure it already happened, right? I would say most of the information is already out there. It's on the web. It's just being suppressed actively and covered up with state-sponsored deep state propaganda and misinformation.
Well, so our official disclosure is the Nimitz, the Tic Tac, and as we discussed like this past week with Walter Bosley and got in with Joseph Phil there, but whether it's like American made, whether it's something else, the fact that it's Lou Elizondo and Jeremy Cowbell that they had bring it forward as the official Pentagon recognizing it, and this is real. Breaks our realm of physics, and it's aliens by their narrative, whatever it turns out to be, and that you have Lou Elizondo literally being an counterintelligence officer his entire career, and then now the next step is this David Grush, and that when you have real leaks like what Assange was doing with WikiLeaks, what Chelsea Manning did with all of those, what Edward Snowden did, so that's real disclosure, or whistleblowing.
Even things don't have to leak out sometimes. People just have to be arrested and it went public, like we exposed with the coverage of the Isaac Vincent Kemp case in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, with the terahertz ultra fast photonics lab that he was working with and bringing home documents for. He did a year in jail for that, and the mainstream has never reported on that or talked about that. But that's a serious story, because it confirms at least some of the stuff that they came out with Tom DeLonge. But it's kind of crazy because they ridiculed that. He made it sound so stupid when he went on Joe Rogan and tried to talk about it. Why not put your best foot forward? Why didn't Hal Puthoff go on Joe Rogan and with Tom DeLonge to be like, answer those questions, So when he's like, what do you mean an electron gun? How do you fire an electron? He could have been like, yeah, dude, just use a Crookes tube,
Or go on to Periscope YouTube channel, and there's literally 50 to 100 videos from U.S. Navy and Air Force. 50, 60, exactly.
So it's crazy. And then why the FBI is visiting Mark's lab, and then even the Daily, we have to rely on the Daily Mail, which I commend Josh Boswell for actually digging in and covering the story.
So did you give them the heads up?
Daily Mail's like tabloid, like labeled,
but
right?
It's like a tabloid news. Yeah, it's kind of like we have to rely on the tabloids.
Jeremiah, Jeremy, did you end up giving them the information? Who gave it to MSNBC?
Mark directly
MSNBC, the story from the Daily Mail. They just, they're just a news wire. It's like Associated Press puts out the stories, and most of the other channels pick them up from there. It's one of those tabloid news that sometimes gets shared and stuff. And
I read the article; it was good. I liked it.
It was pretty good. You know, the thing is that there's so many more scientists, and they tried to make it like, oh, Mark is the lead scientist, and he's the only science working on this, and they didn't get like the real like big full picture on the science quite right. And
It's like replicating UFO lab or something is like,
I don't
how
think he wanted to put, because I told him about alt propulsion and what we're doing with that. I don't think he didn't, maybe thought it would be construed as an advertisement, and didn't want to like, do that. I mean, anyone who digs in is going to find all that, hopefully, or at least go to Falcon Space and find some stuff. But there's not much. Falcon Space isn't the best thing forward, but
So how did they get information on Falcon Space?
Well, someone obviously watched the videos and stuff, and I think we had a live stream a while back where we were talking about the Geiger counter and the test pellet that he used to test that. But there's a big difference between uranium ore and enriched weapons grade uranium.
Yeah.
When you take ore, right, you'd have to take
exponential levels, or being like a mass amount of rock that's like 90% like other elements and minerals, and then you have to
it's maybe like 2% uranium in this rock, right?
So let me show you some more. This is all we're dealing with.
No, oh, Jesus.
It's
this lab is not here. It's not at my house.
This is just absolutely legal ore.
I don't even know Michael, wherever his lab is, man. Somewhere.
You can actually just go to these mines and pick it up. It's actually lots of people on YouTube do it.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them in the Grand Canyon, and I told
and this is absolutely not nearly as crazy or dangerous as anything Styropyro probably does. That nonetheless, we do not recommend anybody try this, especially without protective gear, and
you need really large conical shaped what are called separators, and they're mass. They're based on mass, so
all we're doing is collecting basically ore samples, like Radioactive Drew on YouTube. He does that too, and he goes with this Geiger counter and just checks out.
You take all the ore and you can check it out and find the good stuff with your Geiger counter.
That's right.
Then you break it all up, and Dan wants to jump on and join. Should we send him a link? Uncensored.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely, for sure.
Let me send him.
Can you guys hear this?
Yeah.
It's not that hot, so I'll tell you what it measures.
Right. But if you take that and you break it all down and you enrich it, and that's what they do, that it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of energy, to run the separators to get it really purified. But
and millions of dollars.
Yeah, it takes millions of dollars, like a state-sponsored program, to really make that. And also, if you concentrate, like, it's basically to create a big block, like a pellet that size of enriched uranium, like weapons grade uranium. You need to take like
you need more than Iranian. You need more than Iranian centrifuges in freaking giant reactors.
Well, no, you need a whole bunch of that infrastructure, but you also need about the amount of ore that you need is enough to fill that entire room, right? So if you have that much ore, you're going to be hot from the outside of the building. And so all they need to do is go around the outside of the building with a Geiger counter in order to close that investigation out. And that's what they told Mark they did. Just to be fair, these are like numbers that we're talking about. So anyone who's watching and kind of misunderstands the science can kind of get it, hopefully a little bit better.
Right, and like you can literally hold up a Geiger counter to one of these plasma balls, for instance, like around a Tesla coil, and when you get really close into the field, it's exponentially stronger, goes off than that, but two different types of radiation interference. And
yeah, they check that stuff. Yeah, you have to email me, Dan. I emailed you. I sent you an email with the link, so just check your email there. Yeah, I don't have Facebook or Facebook Messenger or any of that anymore. I'm completely off of those platforms. So.
Oh, I do, and we're actually live on my accounts on Facebook and Twitter and Twitch, and we're both on Rumble as well on YouTube right now. So at some point, we're going to get into a conversation where we'll have to switch over to just Rumble if this isn't spicy enough.
Yeah.
But for now, Dan, if you email either of us, we'll get you the link in. And
absolutely, get them on.
So I have a question though about the aspect of, is there a correlation that we should be picking up on, that the FBI is like anti-gravity and enriched uranium go hand in hand together, or is that just complete BS altogether and a premise for wasting money? And like, if that's what the closest they have to replicating the Tic Tac or getting to the leads of the Tic Tac things and everything out there is harassing, Falcon Space and researchers like us. It's pretty ridiculous.
Some of those UFOs were actually uranium based. They had uranium radioactivity kind of. So I'm sure that they're keeping an eye on it,
Yeah, well, some of these are classified planes which violate treaties, so they'll never be declassified or disclosed. Like the TR-3B. This, Ed Fouché made the argument, like they had this treaty, right, about UFOs. About spacecraft, and you can't use nuclear powered aircraft or airplanes ever since Starfish. So Project Starfish, you ever heard of that?
Yeah,
I've heard of it.
Yeah. What if Ed was right about all that? What if that's why Ed? Because
I'll
they
bring
had
that up
they
real
had that
quick.
treaty. They did have that treaty. No nuclear powered airplanes or aircraft.
Oh, that's the nuclear. No, okay, I do know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Starfish
and there was a
Prime.
guy that talked about it, and he said we get into talking about liquid metal at this point. And he said I can't talk anymore. Remember that guy, Jeremy? I can't remember his name.
Yeah, and guess what? When
you and I were
the
totally
Sarfati
freaked out when he said
lectures,
that.
during the Sarfati lectures, they had a bunch of these guys on doing presentations about like the angel hair.
Okay, hold on. Liquid metal, because are we talking about like cold state liquid metal? Because the only patents I've seen that mention liquid metal batteries mentioned it in a water made through electrolysis, which would be these monoatomic elements, and that would be something else. So
I kind of got, maybe he was talking about mercury. I mean, I could be wrong, but
here, I shared the screen if you want to share that with so Starfish Prime was they blasted off nukes in the upper atmosphere, like in outer space, and after that they were like, no, we can't do this anymore, and that led to all these treaties for banning what's the name of the treaty?
Antarctica or something?
I think that was done near the United Kingdom too. Wonder what the sky looked like when they did that. I mean,
I know
they did a ton of them. Wasn't it like 40 or 50 of them in a couple-day period? It was a lot. And what did it do? They claimed that it put a hole in the ozone layer permanently.
I bet. It's gonna be dangerous.
I had never heard of this.
And my
Yeah.
thought was, oh, they're testing it for weapons, but what if they were testing it in case the TR-3B exploded in midair? Or, Jeremy, what if one did explode in midair and they claimed that it was this missile project was the cover-up? What if? We don't know.
Because if we're to believe that this is really a top secret program that goes back to recovered Nazi Bell technology, right? That would have been within the time frame.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, this is it maybe would be worthwhile to investigate some of these things with new eyes. But yeah, some of those phenomena, like the angel hair thing, I had a couple different ideas for what that might be. And when we mentioned one of them being like the byproducts of thorium reactor for a jet-powered thorium powered jet engine, the CIA guys got like all weird about when we mentioned that. So
Jeremy, did you hear Walter Bosley on BurnEye's show explain, or were you on that show the other night? He explained the Tic Tac, and the way he explains it so easily. And he had said the same thing we had said a long time ago, that how would the captain of a naval vessel just allow two supposed Air Force guys on? They were supposedly Air Force guys on, just like that they were allowed on there. He explains that the guys that were involved in the Tic Tac obviously knew that this thing was ours, and they were already allowed on that boat, way ahead of time, that they just don't get permission to go on.
But Dan, the military would never test non-lethal weapons on real soldiers in a live exercise environment without telling them first, would they?
Right. And there's no such
that's
thing
the argument
as
that I get. That's the argument these people give me, and like they're totally oblivious to the
compartmentalization of it, and just like the need to know basis, and that in the military, in case of capture, the protocol is the minimum amount of people need to know at all times, and that's like only the less than 1% actually know or have any idea of what's going on, right?
Bernie, I watched this show the other day about all of our submarines, and I started to think about something. The hooks that are on the bottom of the Tic Tac, there's 2 hooks on the bottom. Mike, I think someone said there's actually 4, 2 on each side. Those hooks on each side of there, I was starting to think that they're hooked into these submarines. They have so many submarines in the ocean. We have way more submarines than any other country has. It's incredible. And I just started to think to myself, what if those hooks are just something easy enough as a device to hook them onto a submarine and to keep them hooked onto that submarine so it doesn't fly down to the bottom of the ocean in case someone's not in it or something like that? Because we don't know if they're manned or unmanned or both. What is you guys' thoughts on that? You know what I mean by the 2 little hooks on there? You got 2 hooks underneath it that go to something. And Michael Schratt tried to tell me on the phone it was an electrical discharge thing, and I don't believe that. There's something those hooks do, and I think it's mechanical. I think that they literally hook onto a submarine, and these submarines I'm talking about, they're all nuclear powered. They're definitely ours, man. I used to not be convinced, but now I'm starting to think they're definitely ours. Well,
we're going to interview the guy who would know, who was working for this stuff. I got Sal Pays lined up for
awesome
for an interview, guys. He's coming on November 19th, I believe.
Is that the secret sauce guy?
That's the secret sauce guy. And
man, you guys are killing it, bro.
Yeah, so he's going to come on. I got Gary McKinnon coming on next week, the guy who hacked into NASA and exposed he exposed the what was it?
Off-world fleet.
He exposed the secret space program, off-world officers.
In the Guardian program, what was it called? The Solar Guardian.
Yeah, Solar Warden. And the reason we
Solar
know that
Warden.
it's true is
Solar Warden, yeah.
the reason we know that it's possibly true is they were trying to prosecute him and bring him back to the United States. If he was lying, why would they be bringing him back to the United States? There's still a warrant to bring him back, I believe, but they never went and got him.
Nah, it would have
Asper's,
caused he got too high profile and it would have caused too much problems for them. Yeah, so
and he had a printout of the one ship, and they said the ship was a mile long. It was huge.
Yeah, so we're gonna get him on the show, man, and we're gonna get into that deep. I'm hoping Wednesday next week. I'm gonna
Wednesday.
I think he's confirmed it for Wednesday, so I'll post that soon.
You know what time? Because I might have to leave work early that night.
Yeah. What time should we do it? You want? Well, he's in England, so I was gonna do it like
he's
early.
5 hours ahead. I get off at 10, but man, that would be pretty late for him. But he might stay up all night if he's a computer nerd. Why don't you ask him and see what he says? I'd like to be a part of that if I could.
Yeah, that would be great because I'd like to get some
more
people.
very well.
Multi-stream that and maybe make a panel of the second half. But I would love to be a part for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a cool
administration. The Bush
we're
administration.
also going to try to get. I'm getting a ton of questions in already for people who want to ask questions of Salvatore Pais and his his ideas, and we're going to do a deep dive into some of the physics.
The secret sauce of physics, right?
The secret sauce.
I believe Solar Warden's real, and I think that's where you would find your what did I say about the officers? What were they called? They were
the off-world officers,
non-terrestrial officers, meaning they don't work on Earth. They're out in space. He had their names. There was hundreds of them. Their rankings.
Was Corey Good one?
Definitely not.
No. Only if you ask David Wilcox.
Damn. All right.
Well, what's that radio show host that believed all them guys, but now I don't.
I want David. By the way, David Wilcox. If anyone doesn't know who this is, he offered a anti-gravity course, which
echoes.
We went and took just for the community because this is a community. We do this for the community, and David Wilcox is Ancient Aliens famous and gets 23,000 people watching him on live streams sometimes, and.
He's on Danica Patrick, bro. She's beautiful.
Yeah, he was on Danica Patrick's show.
You should go on her show, man. She believes all these frauds, man. You should go on there. She's absolutely stunning, and she was the best race car driver ever for a female. I mean, she's just incredible. Look how beautiful she is. And he's just bullshit, and it makes me sick. Go on there, Jeremy. Shove you on there in a second, bro. Just like Danny, Concrete, I call him, but now he's Danny.
Yeah, we should definitely try to get on that podcast if she's willing to entertain David Wilcox. I'm sure we could have a discussion. As long as I don't badmouth all the. A lot of these people just.
And TET's also big time, bro. You remember Jenny McCarthy, man? When we were younger, she hosted that show on MTV. She's in Playboy.
Yeah, so Wilcox did an anti-gravity show, and we totally. It was so bad, man. He knows nothing about anti-gravity and his insiders and stuff. So I don't know if you guys remember, David Wilcox had this whole the Snapper. It was the secret location that they were going to do anti-gravity research. And
echoes.
He stole a lot of money. He stole like in the millions, bro. I mean, look at Mark.
This was from 2 years ago. We covered it. Wow, that was 2 years ago that they did that.
Is that how long ago it was already? He got that money.
Yeah, it was already 2 years ago that he got that hanger. That's incredible. I can't believe that.
Gone. That
doesn't
money
it seem like time is going?
Oh yeah, he raised like $1 million, and all that money's gone. They're using the hangar to store dumpsters for a dumpster company now. They're renting it out as just dumpster storage.
Jeremy
space.
and Bernie, does it seem to me, or is it just me? Doesn't it seem like time's going by way faster all of a sudden? I mean, it's like everything is sped up by 10. I don't get it, man. It was not.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then,
is it computers that are doing it, or what? Because our time is more occupied because we have cell phones now. Huh?
No, you're absolutely right, and it's that the generational acceleration on exponential levels of reaching and breaking that the
I think we're just getting
quantum
old.
barrier.
Yeah, we're all just getting old. Look at
Esoteric,
that.
what's up, man? I think it's the computer generations because our faces are always stuck in something. Before we had to read a book or go find something to do outside. Hey, there's a concept. No one goes outside anymore. If you're on a computer all the time and watching videos, time flies by. I think that's what it's got to be. Or am I wrong, Bernie? What's up? Tell me what you were just
the
talking
metaverse sucks in a lot of people's time and conscious energy, for sure. That's definitely a bit. But on the inverse, also now applying AI, and AI is like applying AI to itself, and like all these different nodes and networks of it's just.
How about Jeremy?
Development acceleration.
When you pulled up that AI the other day, was asking questions. Can you do that now, Jeremy? Can you ask it about David Wilcox? I'm very interested to see what it says.
Is that really his forehead?
Yeah, his forehead's like twice the length of a normal person.
He has an alien brain.
Well, he supposedly thinks he looks exactly like what's the guy's name? Right there.
Oh yeah. Reincarnation.
Their family's like pissed off at him. Edgar Casey, they want him sued and shut up. They want him to shut down. He does have his eyeballs or something, but it doesn't mean he's him. I mean, he couldn't answer one question they asked him. Edgar Casey claimed he was going to reincarnate. He claimed he's the reincarnation of Edgar Casey. I forget how much money he made from that, but he debuted that on Guess Who? Carrie Cassidy's show of all shows.
Carrie Cassidy.
And they were donating money like crazy.
Who's that? Is that Project Spamalot?
Yeah, I haven't seen her in a long time. Is she even still around, bro? Because Kevin Moore was going to shut her down. Then he felt sorry for her and just stopped.
Carrie Cassidy had some good stuff back in the day.
Back when she first started, man, I loved that show when it was her and Bill. It was really good when she had John Lear on years ago, back in the late 90s, right? It was a damn good show. And then all of a sudden she took this, I don't know, she just steered into this garbage dump of people and just ruined herself.
I think they were fed a lot of counterintelligence, right? And that the whole new age, the remote viewing, the metaphysics community was intentionally infiltrated for a very long time by the counterintelligence.
She had Dan Burrish on. And one thing Dan Burrish did was Dan Burrish had a forum, and Dan Burrish put his phone number on there, and he said, anybody that wants to call me, go ahead and call. Well, dude, I was really interested in anything I could find out about S4 at that time, Papoose Lake. I start calling this guy on Fridays. We start talking. He starts calling me back on Fridays, man. I talked to Dan Burrish probably 100 times and was like, it was weird, man. I didn't know if I thought he was bullshitting, but sometimes I didn't. Remember that, Jeremy, what I went through with Burrish?
Yeah. And, he was like a master of the soundboard. So he got a soundboard.
He called. Listen, I called him one day on a Friday afternoon, right? And he goes, hey, you're in for a treat. He goes, don't say a word. He goes, I'm putting my phone in my pocket. So he had one of those Nextel phones, that you could hear everything back in the day. Construction workers had him. Puts it in his pocket. And I hear this, hey, Dr. Burrish, it's two security people supposedly going through his bags. They call Marcia McDowell, Dr. McDowell. And I'm sitting there listening to this. They go sit down, and you hear they're at some terminal at McCarran Airport. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, listen to this. And then they come up and grab him. It's like, hey, Mr. Burrish and Miss McDowell, follow me, please. And you can hear a helicopter going off. And I told Jeremy all about this. I wish I could have recorded it. It literally sounded like they had gotten to a helicopter. He said they're going to fly us up to Groom Lake in a helicopter today. I'm like, what? It just seemed so real. And then I came to the conclusion that because Ed said he was such a fraud, that he had to have had a sound machine. And that's when Ed did that video about Dan Burrish being a fraud, right after I told him that. But it was interesting, man.
You remember he took the pictures when he said he got beat up?
Yes, that's when he was beaten. Remember, he said that they beat him and kicked him, and
Yeah.
Dan had to have one of his heart valves, I believe, replaced, and that's what slowed him up. He almost died. And he lives in Henderson. I haven't heard anything from Dan and since I think 2012 it's been, because I used to hear from him through email conversations.
What about the? I heard someone said his real name is Dan Crane.
Daniel Crane. It was also Daniel Castillas, and then Daniel Burrish.
Did he work as a probation officer?
Yes, his former wife's name was Deborah Burrish. She was his former. He was the probation officer of Deborah. He married her and took on her name. His mother's name was Dodie Crane, and instead of Deborah taking on his name, he took on her name, and that's where he got the name Daniel Burrish. And it's because they had a daughter that he adopted through Deborah, and he wanted to maintain her last name so she would think that Dan was her father, and her name was Victoria. And I had actually spoken to her one or two times. She would have Dan's cell phone sometimes when I'd call out there. And man, he had some really interesting stories, man. He really did. I don't know what he was.
Yeah.
Agent.
He said he was like working on the alien genetics and all that stuff. Remember that?
Yeah, I absolutely believe he was very intelligent. He could remember, even if he was lying, he had a photographic memory. The Ganesh particle was his big deal. And we couldn't prove any of that stuff was real or not because we're just looking at films. But there's Bill Hamilton was a good friend, and Bill passed away last year. And then there was another, Ron Garner was a big time friend. His right there, Alien Disclosure at Area 51. That's Ron Garner's film. I love the Area 51 history. Project Looking Glass was something Dan Burrish came out with. No one heard of Project Looking Glass before Dan. Was Dan at Groom Lake? I don't know. I would believe him before I believe Bob Lazar, because he actually had the education to be there. He was a master in genetics, and I forget what all it was. He had major degrees. One was from SUNY University, State University, New York.
And why was he a probation officer? That's just weird to be like.
Well, okay. Let's say that you are that one guy that you graduated college with that's so fucking weird that you don't have any social skills as far as being able to talk to people, and you're kind of weird. If you don't come off good at the interview, you're not getting the job. So, and I think that's what happened with Dan. So he took that job because he liked being a cop, apparently, too. Became a probation officer. It paid decent. I forget what he got paid. Then supposedly he goes to work. I'd talked to that one guy he had worked for. I'm trying to remember his name, an older guy that claimed he was Dan's teacher at State University in New York, SUNY. And Dan almost shit when I told him I was in contact with the guy, and I had been emailing the guy. I can't remember his name now. The guy'd have to be passed away. The guy was teaching. He was like 85 years old.
Damn, it would have been great to get an interview.
But they were great days. I got to talk to him one day, John Lear another day, and Ed every night. I mean, it was just fun, man. It's not fun anymore.
It's getting there again. And Exotic Propulsion, Jeremiah, up. You got the link in your email if you up for joining. And
what's he say about that? Can you repeat that? What he just said? I couldn't see it. Best to stay away from this FS. What's he mean FS? Far.
Yeah, we should actually the conspiracy. This conversation we should continue in the second half once we cut over to Rumble. While we're still live though, in real science and what's happened in this past week. Shout out to Dutch Sense. For those that don't know, Dutch Sense channel, earthquake forecasting, impeccable, impeccable discoveries, brilliant mind, and should be running the USGS. Instead, they attack him, and he like hadn't done his forecast in a couple weeks. He did a video a couple days ago saying that he wasn't doing. He was done, and it was his last video. He's not doing the forecast anymore. And 2 weeks ago, in one of his videos, he stated that he was getting threats on his life and that they were making active threats again on him. And then today, he posted in his community chat that they did actually make an attempt on him sometime in like the last week or two. So prayers are with Dutch Sense, and that's how real this is. And that
what did he have that they wanted to kill him? What was his technology?
Earthquake. He knows where
earthquake forecasting. But also, though, when I brought him together with Eric Hecker, they verified each other's stories because Dutch Sense had covered the New Zealand Christchurch earthquake and like these
in
energy
2011
beams coming from Antarctica, as well as a couple of the other ones from like satellite imagery catching energy waves from Antarctica during these.
Do you believe Eric Hecker though? Do you
and
believe
volcano events, and that a couple of them tied in to the exact same time that
showed. I don't know if you watched the interview where he came on my channel. I mean, he wasn't real there, but I would love to see more details on the power station and the cabling that went into these arrays.
Yeah, the guys that work on this thing, the what is it called? The
I remember
neutrino observatory.
There's supposed to be some guys that work for Raytheon that are coming forward about this that claim that he's not telling, that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, listen, Eric Hecker went down there as he didn't go down there as a scientist. He went down there as a plumber. He's smart. But
contractor, general contractor for Raytheon.
He showed the pictures of the cables, though. Let me go find the picture of the cables.
Yeah. But Jeremy, hang on a second here. How do we know that these guys down there, guys fuck with you at work, weren't? I mean, do you think they'd really come out and say, "Hey, look, we're responsible for this earthquake that killed all these people in Christchurch, New Zealand"? I mean, that's my thing. They just came out and told
active moment, like trying to get something off your conscience, off your shoulder when you're like, holy fuck, did we just
it was the first time they shut this, and it was the first time they had fired it off, though. And it wasn't like they aimed it and this was done on purpose. My thing is, why do you know what this Nutrio detector is? This Nutrio detector supposedly can detect a UFO above it in space,
quantum off-worlds, anywhere in the universe, instantaneous communication. It's
quantum entanglement.
Quantum entanglement, like network server for off-world communication.
It's their energy signature.
Yes, it can receive it and it can tell where it's at from. I don't know if it's minimum, if there's a maximum amount of space it has to be apart or not. I don't think so. I think it can be infinite almost, right, Bernie, from what I understand. I tried to talk to Eric the other week and he got pissed at me and wouldn't talk to me, man. And we had a thing going and he said he's just busy, and
he is busy. He works in Alaska 3 weeks at a time on shift, and then it's like he's literally booked with.
And then when the winter comes, he's like he's locked down, man, for like 9 months out of the year, which is cool. But me and Jeremy talked to Eric Hecker like 2 or 3 years ago. He came on the show. Remember?
I know, that's how I first met him. Was on that show with
and
you
then
guys.
He tried to say he wasn't on your show when I messaged him. I'm like, dude, I was like, you were on the show with me. He goes, I never did his show. I'm like, okay. He was under.
It must be a misunderstanding, brother.
Well, he said he was under tons of pressure. There he is.
Yeah, we've done. I've done 3 or 4 interviews in total with Eric.
Yeah, but his first one that he came on was just a lot. It's some random.
It was a random live on your channel.
He
came on for the last couple hours, right there. Yeah,
this was a minimum of 2 or 3 years ago, man. When he did this with Jeremy, it was just me and Jeremy and somebody else and him, and I was blown away because I knew who he was. I was like, man, I know who you are. You're at the South.
I've also done an episode with him, with me, him, and Rex with Leak Project a few years ago too.
He did Greer. That was he interviewed with Greer.
That was big for him.
Sean, he did Sean Ryan also. his interview with Sean Ryan's interesting. It's only about 20 minutes long, but here's what I have to say about Eric. If he's
No, it's
telling the
about
truth,
45, I think. It's epic.
If he's telling the truth, then the United States could be very well possible for the destruction of many cities, and this would be their most lethal weapon to neutralize any country. Start fucking earthquakes. I mean, it's incredible if they're doing it, but it's also horrifying.
Yeah,
And
it's
Iran,
people are so scared about nukes, and I say you don't even know.
Jeremy, did you see the message that Iran put up on their news about 2 weeks ago about they were joking around about being hit with an earthquake by the United States? And I was like, are they talking about Eric Hecker? This was just last week. Oh yeah, it's on the news, man. I was like, what is going on, dude? And I thought to myself, or is it like disinformation that they're behind
or
somehow?
Dutch sense, and was that why he was attacked? Because he does prove this quite often, and he's called them out so many times, and that's why I've wanted to connect him with you, Jeremy, just to because the technical brilliance of your guys' understanding is next level, and the evidence that he can show you of just stuff he's recorded in his earthquake monitoring over the years. It's
check the private chat out, guys. It says on MSN, it says Iran warns Israel, says Hezbollah could cause a huge earthquake if, and then it's ... They're talking about earthquake technology, man. And read a little bit of that once. It's crazy.
By the way,
let's save that for Rumble as well.
This is something also I wanted to show people too. This is 1948 to 1975. The U.S. Army Chemical Corps conducted classified human subjects research at the Edgewood Arsenal facility in Maryland. The purpose was to evaluate the impact of low-dose chemical warfare agents on military personnel and to test protective clothing, pharmaceuticals, and vaccines. A small portion of these studies were directed at psychochemical warfare and grouped under the prosaic title of Medical Research Volunteer Program. All right, this is great. Let's watch this 5-minute clip of when they drugged these soldiers with LSD. This is...
Wow. Yeah, put it on. Let's see it. It's probably good LSD too.
Yeah, this is like high quality military
grade
LSD.
Yeah, pure stuff, guaranteed, man.
Yeah, this is crazy stuff. So people who think like that they wouldn't test the Nimitz, they wouldn't test like our technology out on troops in the Nimitz encounter right there in the SoCal range, right off of Camp Pendleton, the largest military base in the U.S.
What if that was a mind control drug, Jeremy? I never even thought about that, man. Wow.
They're all mind altering, and then the control comes in with this the neutrino array thing. Then that's another part of Eric Hecker's.
All right, so they bring all the soldiers out. They get them to stand in line.
Yeah.
And
Eric's something else, Eric Hecker. If he's telling the truth, he's got balls, man.
See,
they're tripping right now. Yeah,
they're normal right now. So they're just doing the test. They're running for the camera, following some orders. They get the drill sergeant giving them orders, and they're going out and marching and doing stuff. This is the commander right here. This guy.
Jeez.
So they got the drill sergeant. He's doing running drills with them, doing a good job. Now. All right, so they fast forward it. They all go inside the house. They give them and they make them take the LSD, right? So they give them a friggin' a dose.
Oh my gosh, man!
Right, and then they all come running out after about 2 hours. 2 hours later, they all come out.
And they're all dosed up, man. Look at this. Oh my god!
Just look at the smiles. Like not even like the hat's not even on straight.
Look at this guy.
And this was Vietnam era, the way it looks. They're dying laughing, man. Oh my god.
Got a genuine case of group giggles.
Oh my god. That's great. Leave it play. This is excellent, man. I've never seen this.
You never seen this? Look at them all. Look at them all trying to
Nope.
follow orders and trying to like stand in line. They're all tripping their balls off.
That ain't no straight line.
Apparently, they also use this on like captured like spies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
at
it's
one
sodium
point, right?
pentanol. It's the truth serum. Yeah.
I wonder if they ever used LSD on the remote viewing program.
They're like they keep trying to drill them, and these guys start peeking, and they're just like they can't do it.
You guys like that remote viewing program with the one guy on there? I'm trying to remember his name. I watched him last night again. Shit. Dan something. Been doing it forever.
They said the squad leader. Can you hear the volume?
No, not really.
Let me share. I want to share it so you can hear the volume. This is great to hear the volume because you got to hear the volume.
Yes, please. It's Halloween weekend, right? Happy Halloween to everybody.
Yeah, man. How's everybody doing? We're watching guys trip. That's cool.
We got a Halloween trip back in history of LSD tripping in the Army.
Look at them. He can't stand up.
He too had received LSD, and he no longer was an effective leader.
Can you hear it now?
Oh, yes, sir. No longer an effective leader.
When an officer ordered the leader to drill the squad, he responded with, "You want him drilled? You drill him."
Look at this guy. He's not tripping. He's laughing though. He's trying to get it.
Ordered to leave the field, he refused to go. In answer to a direct question, he said he was capable of drilling the men and was instructed to do so. Minutes later, it was evident that he was unable to carry out his orders, and he was escorted from the field. We have seen some of the effects of LSD. What effect would it have
Just
on the
next to
vital
a whole
operations?
bunch of rockets.
Further research is required.
Yeah, ICBMs. They're just like, yeah, we're just gonna. We wonder what would happen if everyone started tripping all at once. What would happen to our infrastructure?
Oh, let's test them. I see why they would do this drill and simulation. Like, what happens if there's a mass drugging of the Army personnel?
Well, yeah, well, they're already
Yeah.
talking about drugging the water. Did you know that? A big thing going on right now.
Yeah,
drugging
they've
the
been
water.
drugging that forever.
Yeah, with the
fluoride,
fluoride, right?
chlorine, all that.
Well, I'm talking about drugging the water, like fucking them up
Drugging,
like
yeah,
this.
little
Like
drugs.
LSD drugging like they drug these recruits right here.
And then this was the Stanford experiment too, where
Oh,
they
that'll be
gave
really good.
radiation
They really do
to
their drugs there.
they gave
really
radioactive
do.
meals to prisoners. That was pretty nuts.
If in doubt, drink distilled.
Did you ever see the one where the woman's like completely freaking out? They're like, she takes her second dose to LSD and she was tripping her ass off. I don't know what that is, what it's from. I don't know if it was military or what, but she was totally gone, man. Hey, Emmy, imagine Vaughn doing acid, bro.
You ever seen the cat on acid?
This guy Vaughn we know. Imagine that, Emmy. The guy out in the chat that I know.
Oh, this was terrible, dude. This was at Wright Patterson.
spots too,
Oh
right?
my
Like,
God.
truly aware of Pynchon's
That's like a
relationship
dryer, isn't it? What
to
is that?
illegal drugs. He's very aware of LSD's role in the development of subcultures, but he's also equally aware.
Won't kill him. You can die from LSD overdose.
That's crazy, huh?
That's, to me, that's not funny, man. Not to but for some reason it bothers me when they do something to an animal more than it does a human. Does that mean I'm mean or something?
no, the exact opposite.
Exactly, that cute kitty.
Helpless. A helpless
Poor
animal.
poor
Yep.
cat, dude. It's not funny at all.
Me and Jeremy love animals, man.
Well, we all should. We are essentially demigods over these lower animal beings, and
I miss my cat.
life forms.
I have the coolest little dog right now. When it comes in, I'll have to bring it in and show it to you. It looks just like Toto from Wizard of Oz. It's amazing looking.
Yeah, so I still hold out for the idea that Roswell might, like, it's just
What are you
crazy.
thinking about it? Tell us. I want to know, man. Have you changed your mind again?
No,
Walter's father was part of it, wasn't he?
The whole thing with, I want to know what that memory foil was. Was it a nickel titanium alloy, like a nitinol memory foil?
Yeah.
Like memory metal?
Yeah, there's a few things that make no sense, right? Unless it was ETs or something else. What's your
What
thought? What's your best
it
thing?
was not just UFO, but also time temporal break, and that's if that was like the first time with like a gray or like future humanity like coming in because like they tapped like the time interface or dimension or something like that.
Edgar Fouché is no longer alive, so I can say this, and Warren York are no longer alive. I can say this. Warren York maintained when he was alive. He told me, he said, Dan, he said the helmet that they found on one of the beings or whatever they were was made in this world, was made for something in the United States or the United Kingdom. He said, because the helmet that this thing was wearing had do you know what a heads-up display is? A heads-up display will display all the information
right in front of you,
vehicles doing on the screen of the helmet or on your windscreen, on your window in your car. I had a car, it had one, the vets have them. Warren maintained that this helmet was so advanced that he had been looking at helmet technology every year, and he was convinced it was only about 5 years away. He passed away a couple years ago, COVID. And I've often wondered why this thing had that. Then he showed me what a drawing of what the one craft looked like. Dude, it looked exactly like an F-35 Raptor pretty much. But here's the difference. None of its components, like its wings and stuff like that, none of that stuff, like it moved, but it didn't. How should I say this? It was like it was liquid metal. The craft like manipulated the shape of its wings and stuff as to what it was going to do. In other words, it didn't
like a mercury heavy style of metal.
Yes. In other words, it didn't have any type of surfaces that would have to be moved with a hydraulic rod or something like that. Like everything's done now with hydraulics still, I believe. And he had drawn this thing. He said, I'm telling you, it looked very close to what we have now. And he said the thing that they found dead had a helmet that would fit a human, and it had an incredible heads-up display in this thing that was second to none. The computer, and it was unbelievable. Well, dude, we're there with virtual reality right now. So did it maybe have virtual reality in its heads-up display? What did it have that these two guys both told me the same story, and they're both gone now, so I can tell it. They're no longer a part of this earth. Ed Fouché and Warren York, and they were friends. And it really intrigued me, this story. I have to go back and look at my notes to tell me more about it. But the way they saw it was these were futuristic people from the future. is what they said. And you hear this over and over again, that ETs are futures from the human coming back in time, human beings coming back in time to try and save this world from some type of catastrophe, nuclear war. World War III doesn't have to be nuclear war, but we'll see UFOs escalate at this point in time where you have a conflict that's getting ready to break out. You understand kind of where I'm coming from. And then that's when the Roswell incident happened. It was from the future and landed in the past. It's very hard to grasp your head around. When I finally understood what he was talking about, which took days, I was baffled by it. Now,
so why haven't any of these time travelers gone back to Stephen Hawking's party?
Well, I don't know what the
Hawkins
limits
Bunk.
would be, Jeremy, on them conversing or being with anybody else, because then this whole thing with time travelers is broken and it changes
I
everything.
think it's people from I think it's other species or other aliens from elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
It could very well be, but if they wanted to self-preserve their name and they wanted to preserve their granddaughters, their granddaughters' daughters, okay, they would have to go back in time, if you will. Chrononauts, I believe Walter Bosley would call them.
Yeah, I
back
know.
in
I know he
time.
talks about that. I don't believe any of it. It's all been debunked with physics, man. And
What if our physics are not 100% right, though? I mean, we believe
Well,
150
so
years
many
ago.
people claim they experienced these this Mandela effect and these like interjecting timelines and potentials of different mixed timelines and all of that, and mergings of different essentially universal time shards or fractals.
Sure, I get what you're saying, Burn, and I'm not. Listen, I'm not.
And I
here
get like the
saying
more
anybody's wrong.
So theoretically, we're just throwing ideas out here, right? Like this is just brainstorming and stuff. But like theoretically, if say they were these future humans coming back trying to stop it, the more that they kept trying, like the more attempts that they'd make, the more shards or these more time fractal lines they'd be creating, and then a bigger like ripple it would have in the overall multiverse universe sort of thing.
They don't want the world to end. They're saved. They're actually, they saved the world if this is true. And one other thing is, if you take a look at this and if you look at it, it makes sense. It makes sense that, hey, they don't want the world to end. This is their job in life. Maybe this is what the men in black really are. I don't know. But would someone from the future, if this is true, want the world to end? I wouldn't think they would, because then there's no more.
It ended in their time and it would be ended. There would be none of them to come back to end it from the past, right? Like,
well, it is interesting because Warren had told me that he had held the helmet in his hand, and he had also said that in Texas there's a base there. I have to look up what the base's name is. There's a base in Texas, and he said this UFO landed there. He said when they got there, they had erected a brick and block building around this UFO so it couldn't fly off, which I thought was really interesting, man. And they had a hell of a time getting into the thing, but when they got in the thing, on the outside of it, let's just say it was 50 feet round for numbers. When you got on the inside of it, it was almost infinite. It was like going into another world. It was huge on the inside.
Like a Harry Potter freaking
Harry Potter.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. Is that what that is?
Just like an endless a wormhole in a backpack, essentially a portal into.
Well, let's say this: if they can manipulate time, why wouldn't they be able to manipulate space? Same thing, technically. Time and space.
You couldn't do one without the other.
Right.
Right. This is like Felix the cat. He had that bag that you could just pull anything out of, like giant staircases, ladders. Just everything was in the
with
bag.
Warren, I don't believe he was a liar at all. one thing interesting about Warren was he kept his faith. He was religious, which I found interesting. He was a good friend of mine, very good friend of mine, actually. And I just thought it was unusual when he told me this. And he literally said, don't tell anybody anything about this until after I'm gone. And I think I had told Jeremy at one point, but I don't know. I don't know what to believe, man. It could be a bunch of shit. I throw it out there to see if anybody else has anything in the chat to say about it, because somebody might know something, man. Future human beings, future humans, I guess is what I'll say.
Hey, one possibility, definitely, or if it's extraterrestrial or
actually they would be
interdimensional,
interterrestrials now. They would be interterrestrials now, wouldn't they? Think about
Guys,
it.
press 1 for Taco Bell and press 2 for Nazi Bell. Just a poll, just a quick poll.
Just
Bernie, I love talking about this stuff, and I had to get away from it for a while because you'll drive yourself crazy. But I'll say this: there's a lot out there we don't know, and as far as physics goes, this is the physics as we know them right now in the 21st century. How do we know they're not going to be different, modified? Something's going to change by in 100 years from now. Jeremy, am I right about that, or do I have to be wrong?
Oh yeah,
physics can change, can't they? Not the basics, but
it's kind of like we could.
They are with
something's got to be different if aliens are flying around, huh?
We're gonna get better understandings of physics, certainly certain things, but I guess you could do reinterpretations of physics. But man, it's just like.
What about the speed of light?
Well, so
there's so much
Einstein
that's not.
So here's another thing. Yeah, so the speed of light. I have to bring this up from our talk with Joseph Farrell, Walter Bosley, Jeremiah, and myself. This was after you had left, Jeremy, in it, but that the gravity itself has to be instantaneous. It's an instantaneous force that travels faster than the speed of light. And the only way that something like our Milky Way galaxy can stay coherently together from one side to the other, with the, staying bonded as a structure acting upon itself, or even, the moon and the earth and everything, I guess larger scales. So, but yeah, on a galactic scale, on the star to star, and especially universe to universe,
right?
Galaxy to galaxy. I mean, sorry. It has to be faster than light. It has to be instantaneous.
Huh. So.
Yeah, because it would if it travels at the speed of light, it would be like delayed so much that how would it keep the whole galaxy together?
Coherently exist, right?
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, I'm getting
mind-blowing.
I'm getting super tired. I think we're gonna end it on here and go over to Rumble exclusively, and that way we can get into some other stuff.
Can you put your link to Rumble, because I don't even know what it is? Is it
Rumble, we'll spam the Rumble links a couple times here before we end it on the YouTube, but we'll keep going on Rumble for a little bit. And before we end it on YouTube, I just wanted to show a little update with Mike with ancient carvings or alien carvings there that had all the Mexican ancient alien artifacts, and that he had purchased 2 of these alien mummies. They're the exact same alien mummies that were shown in the Mexican court or state investigation, whatever it was, and they actually turn out to be from Peru. And that for the first time ever, that instead of him receiving the shipment of these 2, they had to dress them up as dolls or whatnot, but that officially the Mexican government, the Peruvian government, all the governments, they won't acknowledge anything as alien or like an out of place artifact is real, they say that they're fake or frauds or whatnot. So they let them sell them on the black market to, travel, whatever, export them, destroy them, anything. But so for these ones, the Peruvian government actually seized them. They arrested for the first time ever the guy that was selling them to Mike, as as exporting these artifacts, and they actually are doing a full. They sent them to a science lab or something, a state science lab, to actually get genetic or biological testing on 2 more samples of them, and I guess it shows the X-ray here coming up of it, and
show a picture of ET dressed up as a doll.
Oh God.
Well, no, they had to dress them up as dolls when they were exporting them. Like that's how the guy ships them. I'm trying to find the image of where they have it go.
Totally real.
X-ray. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it was this. Right. So it's like, are they just fake? And then they don't want them to
there's
get
a
out
whole
there and see that
fucking
they're fake?
artifact mill going on with just people. There's such a demand for this kind of stuff. I bet you there's all kinds of people making fakes. There's probably like a whole community
for sure, right? That's
to do this, man. That's
why we wanted to get our hands on one of them, right? To try it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how
But yeah, so just fascinating.
If I'm getting a mummy from Peru, it better be filled with cocaine.
Or monatomic gold.
Monatomic gold.
Don't know if you want the FBI knocking on your door with that delivery, though.
Oh, that's the DEA. They'll be pissed because I didn't buy it through them. They'll be like, "Oh, we hate competition." We're the only people that can deal drugs in this country. You know that,
right? The real Rick Ross or story of.
You know what? I'm gonna hide my drugs next time when the FBI comes to look. I'm gonna hide them under Hunter Biden's laptop.
Good idea.
I don't know. They might find it then. Oh, that's a conundrum. Like that. It's a parent.
That would just like, oh my God, I can't see them anymore. Where did they go?
Just disappeared. Doesn't exist.
Dang.
Has this officially left the YouTube genre on all channels?
Oh yeah, no. I guess I should.
We're gonna leave the YouTube genre and go to Rumble. Sorry, we're gonna make. We are gonna make you have to make a Rumble account. But yeah, links in the description below. I think I posted it once already, and
Rumble's going, bro. I'm on it. It's good.
All right, we'll jump on there, guys. There's the Rumble link.
Later.
Okay, and then I'm taking it off to 2 YouTubes, and we're good just on the Rumble. Also, stop it on the Facebook, of course. If you're watching on Facebook, gotta hop over. But we'll leave it on Twitter, on X, and on Rumble. How about that?
Sorry, guys.
I'd prefer that you take it off X if possible.
Wait, okay, don't.
I can't believe those mummies were being sold overseas, and people don't believe those anymore, do they?
Yeah,
I saw that stuff on your channel. They do. I saw that stuff
people
on your
still
channel
like.
the other night. Did you see all that stuff BurnEye had on his channel the other night that was being carved, and it was supposedly thousands of years old? I mean, it was interesting. Some of it glowed in the dark. Was that stuff real, BurnEye, or what?
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, he was the guy that's trying to get these mummies, and he's down for sending us samples of all of it to like do tests on on as much of it as like we can.
Well, what he was saying is, and we all asked him pretty clearly, like, what's the deal about this being actually a genuine piece of artifact? Because what he did was he hired a bunch of people from these other locations to do the work for him and pull them up at destinations and then ship him the stuff. So he paid somebody a lot of money to like pull this out of the ground and ask them to take full video footage of when they were digging it up. And that leaves a lot to be desired in terms of whether it was genuine.
Let me ask you this. Here's what's got me confused. did the Mexican government get it from him first, or did he get it from them? How does that work out?
Officially,
you
the
gotta
Mexican government says that it's all fake and lets it all happen.
Okay.
And that he hasn't been down to Mexico himself. He gets others, like local Mexicans that are the art dealers or whatnot. And but that I forget. I think it's Tolec, Mexico, or Tulec, Mexico. There's several of these tombs that I showed in one of these episodes you're talking about. It wasn't last week, so it was like 2 weeks ago. But there's a 4-hour documentary that wasn't even done by Mike. It's a separate just documentary group that went down to this site, and in those 4 hours, there's like 3 hours of straight 1 hour unedited. 3 1-hour unedited digs of them digging some of these artifacts out, and then also showing the underground tomb and cave that they came out of and stuff like that. So
I thought that he was saying he had paid for that. Did I misunderstand that he had paid for them to take that video?
No, that's he didn't pay for that video at all. No, yeah, you misunderstood.
Okay, so I did misunderstand him then.
Yeah, that's
well, that does give better credence to it. No, that's good.
Yeah, he has nothing.
It would have been, I guess, far more believable if he had gone there himself and actually looked at these digs.
Well, he's afraid of the fact of how much money he's spent and the state of the cartels and kidnapping and stuff like that for going down himself. And it's that he's willing to send us samples to test, and like even under the high-powered microscope, some of the bone samples of like what supposedly one of those skulls and stuff like that he does have, and the phosphorescent materials, because that would have been most likely plant-based chemicals that could be better dated than the straight rock, especially if there's like glue mixed in with it.
Now, what do you think about Bosley's new idea with that that rock that's out there in California? I forget what it's called. He sent me.
I think we need to take it to the lab now. We have to test it. We came up with.
He's going to send me some samples, so we'll be able to.
Yeah.
We'll be able to play around with that.
For a really good analysis, we're not going to be able to do this in some home lab or even Perron's lab, for example. Like what we really need to do is high-level investigation at an accelerator laboratory that has a synchrotron light source, and start to really take these things apart and look at them in greater detail than we can do in any kind of home lab equipment. It doesn't matter even if it's 10 grand of stuff. It's still, for private lab investigation. This needs to be done on a much larger scale with extremely accurate equipment at the proper facility. So we have to rent time on those things. You can just rent time for a synchrotron light source analysis and go into those labs and use any one of the 20 or so stations that will often exist around the accelerator ring and just pluck off what you're looking for. So they rent that out, but nobody really owns it independently. That would be the right way to do it.
And
he was willing to pay for it too, right? He flat out said, "I'm willing to pay anybody to take a look at this. I'll send you this stuff." It's just that nobody will take it on. They don't even want the money; they just won't do it. Is what he told us.
He's also got Scott Wolter writing him his foreword in his new book and stuff about it. It's fascinating stuff. But yeah, that's I'm gonna let Jeremy take it away, as we are still live on both our Rumbles. This first live stream of on Jeremy's Rumble, and doing weekly Rumble streams now, and this is the after what we can't say on YouTube but still saying on Rumble. So much to discuss. I will let you
This is a 120-year-old video now, man. This is them bringing out the first flyer.
Is that Kitty Hawk there?
I think it's either Kitty Hawk or right field.
I love the pioneers that brought us to where we are today. Oh, I have so much respect for these guys.
Yeah, these guys are the ones
that did it. The bike wheels.
Risking their lives just to prove that heavier than air flight can be done with a man on board.
Manned powered flight, yeah.
Now we need
there he goes. There he is.
Interplanetary.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how they've tried. They've done a lot to restore and bring back this footage.
They did a really good job because it looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, this is a very degraded film that they were working with
premium
Even has
quality
some color in
algorithms
it.
to bring
Look
it
at
back
that.
into light.
Yeah, this is
Right?
right field. This
Look
isn't
at
Kitty
Oh
Hawk.
man, look
I
at
don't
that
think.
launch mechanism! A big old weight up on a tripod to pull it forward. You gotta
That's
love that.
amazing, guys. Look at that. It's amazing we have this on film. Thank God. Look how wavy the ground was, too. I mean, they're lucky they didn't flip, guys. And you can die right there. You're 15, 20 feet in the air. That's death. You hit head on to
Oh,
something.
that's
Well,
so sketch.
Most people
God.
before them had died.
Two
I mean, they
sharp
were one of the
metal
first to try
panels
it
to
and
like
didn't.
slice your head off, right? Like if you crash, like
And that-
one of those waves.
Right field is preserved there, right?
decapitation.
Isn't that preserved right there where that happened, or am I wrong?
I
It's the
think
Kitty
so.
Hawk, isn't it?
I think there's a memorial there, right where that happened. Yeah.
Somebody ought to go film that in the crowd if they're nearby. That'd be cool to see that. Look at it. The mummy are fake. My dad worked with the true artifacts. See, that's why I like the crowd. I love the chat. But that were true
Right?
artifacts of
All-
man museum. Thank you for saying that, Mary. Quite, I believe that.
And that's probably why
They're so strange
jacked
looking.
them
And
for the
another
first
thing
time.
is too.
I would
What
love to eat my
tissue?
words, though. You know what I mean? Like someone's like saying, "Oh, you're gonna have to eat your words someday when this comes out," and it's true. I'll be like, "Please let it happen," because
Oh, did you think they were real, Jeremy?
'Cause
no,
then we
I'm
have
not. I'm
real
just telling the people
disclosure.
that online that think they are. They're very very. hard
Remember
set.
this: Jaime Maussan has never really shown anything that's been true, guys. He's always been a hoaxer, and he doesn't care because he makes his money and then rolls on to the next project. You know who I mean? Jaime Maussan brought this shit to everybody, guys.
Oh yeah.
And
What's
I hate to
really
be
insane
that
is
way,
that,
but man, I've learned my lesson over 25 years. This guy's full of crap.
There are some people that still think even this footage is fake and that airplanes don't exist. I mean, I'm
What?
not kidding
That
you.
thing's
There are
flying
literally
nice.
people so deluded from reality that they still think airplanes don't exist.
Huh.
Airplane
They also think that
fuel
birds are fake too.
conspiracy.
I mean, I've
How
heard
about
that one
the
too.
airplane
That's my
fuel
favorite one. The birds
conspiracy?
aren't real.
The nukes
Birds are
are fake,
fake.
conspiracy. And it's like, if nukes are real, which I suspect they definitely are, and the brink of nuclear war we're reaching right now is absolutely terrifying, and we need to step back from it, and either Kennedy or Trump, the two anti-war candidates, America, make sure you get one of them, right? Like, not you got two now. You got two options. So this isn't
Yeah, and stay the hell away from all
partisan
of them.
or anything of the sorts.
How did they land it? I want to see how they landed this.
I'm curious about that too.
Amazing.
It has
The guy
sled,
has
what
this-
looks like sled.
It's definitely on a
freaking
tripod,
landing
though. The way
things.
he's filming, the way it jerks around to like, it's definitely on
Skis.
some
Sorry,
kind of like,
skis, like a sled ski.
Well, look at the borders shifting there. It looks a lot like some of this was the algorithm just trying to keep everything in frame while it was just generally jittery, because it was the film itself jumping back and forth in these rolling film cams. You got to keep in mind that this is, there's no digital here, right? This is a physical piece of film that's got to be aligned with the shutter and aligned with the lens, and it was all over the place. And I guess this is just the best the algo could do.
Man, that's incredible, guys. I'm just blown away by it.
That's a pretty decent long
Great
flight.
show, by the way. Awesome show.
yeah, that's what they had to prove. That was what they had to prove at right field was sustained powered flight.
This is what MIT couldn't do, that if I was realistically serious about it, I could pull this off. No problem with no moving parts flight.
Yeah.
They did 5.6 pounds of wasted space, and we found a way to do it with basically 50 grams of parts.
Yeah.
Even Ethan Cross was impressed.
Yeah, man.
I didn't see it
Airplanes don't
land, though.
exist, and birds aren't real. You heard it not here first, but people actually believe it. Birds aren't real, and airplanes don't exist. Just
No
flown
matter
on.
how crazy you think they are, somebody
50
else is out there to
times.
prove that they're crazier than you could ever imagine.
Wow, huh?
I swear people
First.
get off on losing their minds.
A first airplane. There's Orville. Or was that Wilbur? Dang, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, anyone got any other cool videos? Let's show.
Well, I've got the electronically induced hallucinations without drugs, and the first iteration of what we later did at D4 called the photo-luminal modulator. And so I did finally find that super old video from my ancient account many years ago.
Hey, real quick, Jeremy, what would I look up to see? Where are people saying that birds are fake? I mean, they look up in the sky and see them every day. You don't have to show it, but where's this at? Is it on YouTube? You just type in birds are fake? I mean, what is going on?
Oh, we're going to have to play Birds Aren't Real. Let's just do it.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, man, I want to see this, dude. Like... I've been sitting here ever since you said that. Like, what?
Oh, you got to see this. This is ridiculous, dude.
They're CIA or NSA.
I mean, there's a lot of fake stuff out there, but damn, I see birds every day. I mean, they're outside my window waking my ass up.
I've owned pet parrots and
birds aren't real.
Freaking sparrows that I captured.
I'm gonna share this so that you can hear the sound. I want to make sure we got the sound here.
Brought to you by the same people that think the moon is a projection.
All right,
we now present Birds Aren't Real.
For the story on Wednesdays live at 9. A campaign called Birds Are Not Real brings its efforts to the mid-South.
And this morning we are joined by one of the messengers of the movement. Peter McIndoe is here to tell us how this all came about. We want to emphasize you were not the founder.
No, man.
Well, I'm just
so how did you become aware of it? What is the message of the movement?
His methadone.
The message of the movement is essentially to spread awareness that from 1959 through 2001, the government mercilessly genocided over 12 billion birds and simultaneously replaced them with surveillance drones in disguise that film us every day as equally as these cameras are filming us right now.
Dude, that's scary.
I feel sorry for all those people that have pet birds.
Bro, that's actually
much
scary.
Evidence as the birds have provided. There's so much.
So this is really satire. I mean, you don't really believe that happened, correct? This is a satirical campaign to make the point that what?
All those mass dying.
Satire. I really do believe this.
Well, we could pause this halfway through, and that might actually help avoid copyright too.
So
but let me just give a comment here.
I don't think you would say that if I said.
And so we all remember that there were these major catastrophes. A bunch of fish washed up on shore. We had a bunch of birds dropping out of the sky in multiple locations because we were doing high altitude, high energy research with transmitted signals. And well, it turns out that you can't blast a bunch of birds flying in flocks with microwaves and expect them to be okay. So turns out that kind of kills them. Just like, anything that you'd stick that was living in a microwave might tend to kill it. And so with that tiny little event having happened, a tremendous mistake in calculation on part of the authorities that were doing this weird experimental science, then the conspiracy was given the merit they've all been looking for. And so now birds aren't real, right?
The drones, man.
That's the ridiculous nature of how this came about. Now, the mistake really was
AI, bro. AI.
It really did happen, but it wasn't all birds everywhere, period, replaced with surveillance drones. No. Sorry, but somebody made a mistake while doing a science experiment on a massive level. And it did not need to lead to this.
That's the craziest thing
Let's finish that interview though. Like, has this guy? Is this guy?
I wanted to throw it clearly context for where the merit came from that these guys got off on, because there really was a real event, a series of events, and that's what gave them everything they needed to make all these conspiracies.
But no, it's like, I guarantee you this guy is like a meth dealer and user. So he's been awake for like weeks on end and watching
media hit job.
Probably sells meth and might have an actual bird drone after him.
This didn't start with me. This started in 1976.
They're after him.
When whispering started coming about from the White House saying that birds were in the process of being murdered on a mass level. When this started coming about, that's when the movement began. This movement is reactionary. We really didn't start this. The government started this.
How come it took so long to get billboards up and for any of us to hear about this?
That's an excellent question. So really before the internet age, before the internet era, it was very easy to censor ideas and opinions that aren't popular and that people don't agree with. Now that we have the internet, there are no more book burnings, there are no more censored television ads.
Well, there are attempts to do all of that, but you're right. It's like Arab Spring. It's very grassroots.
So where does this movement go from here?
From here, we're looking to see change in legislation. We're looking to see a mass spread awareness.
Are lawmakers, though, really taking this seriously? Because a lot of people will have their doubts or have their questions about whether or not the movement is really serious or not.
Yeah, that's been a really hard part of this, honestly. Since the billboard's gone up, there's been a reaction of supporters and loyal bird truthers coming out, saluting, bowing. It's almost become like a sacred pilgrimage to see it. Others, though, seem to
counterintelligence want to watch.
Yeah, this guy looks like he's on so many drugs.
It really pains me.
So on the website, there are t-shirts you can buy. There's products you can buy. There are going to be some skeptics who say, they're just trying to sell t-shirts. They're just trying to make money. Where do the funds that the movement makes from the sale of t-shirts go? Where does that go?
I would say every movement, go to any political website, they are all equally selling merchandise to spread and support.
So he's admitting he's receiving compensation
to
for this.
Continue to buy the billboards, for instance.
Yes, ma'am, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's to fund movement efforts, to fund activism and public awareness.
All right, Peter, we appreciate you being with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
BirdsAren'tReal.com.
Sounds like a
birds aren't real.
So what do we have here? Another cowbell? Another paid Patsy? Hey,
Yeah, that was like Jeremy Cowbell.
He's
totally
literally done a TED talk, bro. Look, birds aren't real in the upper left corner. He's
How
literally
did Ted ever give him any time to speak about this? Are you serious?
This is great. I gotta watch this. This is great.
No way.
Birds aren't real,
I'm
man.
Peter.
Didn't you hear?
And 6 years ago, I received information that changed the course of the rest of my life.
Look at his left pant.
From 1969 through 2001, the U.S. government murdered over 12 billion birds in the American skies. They did this using poisonous toxins dropped from airplanes that was contagious and murdered all of the birds over the course of about 40 years. Now, I know this is not the public understanding of this and may sound absurd, but please just bear with me and keep an open mind.
It's absurd
just be respectful,
that the government
please,
killed
as I share this
all of
information with you. I know a lot of you may be wondering, why would the government kill 12 billion birds? That seems like an awful lot of trouble for a government.
Oh my God!
Any duck hunters, goose hunters, wild turkey hunters out there, or anyone that's shot a magpie in their backyard
and some rehab.
The sad thing, right, is that there's some truth to this, right? So that there's a.
That's why it's counterintelligence. They're like, oh, we're gonna make it a complete ridiculousness to blame the government for mass animal die-offs because, they killed all of them, and now they're all spy drones.
It's interesting that he says, I don't know what he said for the years, but this happened. The Carolina parakeet was considered a pest species by farmers. A lot of the farmers. It was a native species of bird. They used to live all over Carolinas, and they literally killed every single one. The last one was shot dead in 1939.
Wow, what was it doing? Was it attacking other native birds or
no?
No, it was a native species that lived here and was here, and we just didn't like it because it would eat.
We have a fish called a snakehead that does that, guys. Remember the snakehead's going around killing all the fish in the rivers, the Ohio River, the Susquehanna, Mississippi. Did you ever hear the snakehead?
This is an extinct bird. You'll never see one of these ever again. And the reason is the government encouraged and even paid farmers to shoot them in mass.
Wow. Okay. How many do you think were killed?
Just like the buffalo.
Just like what they did to the buffalo, right?
Yeah.
And
wasn't no 12 billion though, right?
more.
If they paid farmers to take care of a quote-unquote pest problem, as has happened in many states with many species, including out-of-control cat population, then I would expect that if they're getting paid for it, they should have to report the numbers in terms of how many they eliminated, and that means there should be some kind of record of the total population affected. So where is that information?
12 billions is an awful lot of rounds.
Yeah, there's no way in hell that I think anybody with a reasonable mind is going to believe that number.
So the government tried to cover this up. They had this. This was a picture.
Probably
Whoa,
went to like
look at
Wendy's
this.
and what? Oh damn!
Are they birds,
That's a
Jeremy?
genocide of
On the,
parakeets.
No, these are buffalo skulls.
Oh, the
my
the buffalo genocide. Luckily, they weren't
Oh my
completely
God.
Holy
extinct,
shit.
but
well, then that
literally
right there
hundreds
means
of millions.
it's plausible if they can kill that many
What?
buffalo.
Yeah, hundreds of millions, or if not billions. They just literally drove into herds of millions of them, just like in the prairies, and would unload with the guns and just shoot them all. And yeah, it was to deprive the indigenous people.
Yeah,
of
they wanted to
their
starve out
main food stores.
I have videos where these guys run around Texas at nighttime, and I kid you not, in Humvees, and a lot of them are former special forces guys and army guys, stuff like that, and they unload fully automatic weapons on pigs. It's incredible. They kill thousands of them a night because they're absolutely destroying all the farmland. And when I showed the video to this guy I work with, he thought I was exaggerating. He was totally shocked. He's like, and they don't eat them either. They just fucking, the meat just, I guess, lays there and rots. I
Yeah,
don't know.
the feral hog.
How do they separate these skulls and these bones from everything else that they had never used and get this big pile of what apparently we're looking at, if that's really the genuine article and that's actually what we're looking at?
Oh yeah, this is real. This happened right where I live.
Is it though? Is it? I gotta say, I'm still a bit skeptical.
No, this is real history, man.
Like
and
the
it's
pictures
that they left them to rot. They literally just shot, like, intentionally annihilated herds of millions of these buffalo, and just shot them off their trains, and like just left them rotting, millions of rotting ones. Like it was crazy. It's
when you say numbers like millions, right? I have to think
Hundreds
about how
of
many
millions.
human beings that were fully armed and had the ammunition to do this would have been required to produce that kind of outcome. And when I realistically think about the numbers of those willing to participate in this kind of genocide against a species, then it just leaves a lot of doubt. And so maybe that's if it happened, that's something else.
You read the testimonies from these guys; it's all like written.
This
down,
actually happened. So
this really
it's
happened.
Like, where else did they lie? Yeah, this is real history. Like I learned this in like grade 3 or 4 in my like public school textbooks.
Hey guys, check in the chat that video I just put. It's on YouTube. That video I just put up of them killing wild hogs with automatic weapons. It's unbelievable, dude. I was in shock.
If this is anywhere else that's still streaming on Rumble, we would not be able to probably play that. But it sounds like
it's on YouTube. That's what blows me away. Guys,
it comes off of YouTube.
Killing tens of thousands of them, man. It's with there's bullets just flying all over the place. Fully automatic weapons on the back of a Jeep or Humvee, whatever you have. These guys they have to do it or their land goes. It's that they're destroying the land. It's unbelievable what you're going to see, man. It's only 30 seconds of it, I think, or a couple minutes of it.
Yes, I'm getting a heck of a slap in the face in education today.
You got to see this, man. You won't believe it. It's mind-blowing, man.
I'll believe it. I'll believe it if there's evidence behind it.
The evidence is in the video. Go ahead and play it once, Jer. Just for a little bit. That'll prove that this is real. Here we go. Play the sound. You have to play the sound.
I respect you too quite a lot, Solar. So if you're saying that this is the genuine article, then
this
I've got to give it a little bit more credence
and
at least.
invasive species in Texas.
Not outright.
They may be hunted by any legal methods, day
this
or
is
night.
Incredible. Any
There are
methods
no seasons,
legal.
There are no bag limits. Our goal is to eradicate as many hogs as we can in the most efficient way possible.
Look at that firepower, bro.
We have a limited amount of time between
M60s.
harvest and planting season to clear the hogs out of the fields before the
Look at
crops
that.
get too tall.
That's a
and we
gun.
lose them.
Holy shit, that's civilian.
You ain't gonna believe it. And it's heat
Cal?
seeking too.
That's civilian.
They have night vision. I would think this would be illegal. Look at those bullets. Look at this. Watch this shit. You ain't gonna believe this once it gets dark out. This is incredible.
Do not attempt this at home, all right?
But this just shows that this type of stuff goes on.
Just have anti-aircraft gun in the
Look
back
at that
of the truck.
laser. Here we go. Watch this, man. They blow them apart, and you just see blood. Look at that. Brutal, right?
I believe I can fly.
Going on a hog slaughter. And I can
look at
I
that.
can actually testify. A rich buddy of mine from growing up, the oil money here in Calgary, Alberta, flies down to Texas once a year to go on these helicopter shooting hog things.
Kills.
Hog kills. Fire in helicopter.
These guys here lose between $10,000 a night with these things eating their crops. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, for the other
Look
side
at
of
that.
the spectrum, why
Boom.
all
the way,
these hogs are known for like attacking people, like
look at that.
And stuff. They're not.
I can't believe YouTube lets this on. It's been up for a while.
I'm absolutely shocked at what I'm looking at right here.
I am too, man. I show it to people and they're just thinking I'm pushing it until they watch it, and then they show it to all their friends.
I mean,
look at all them dead.
They got to go back and shoot them again because they're suffering.
I know. Well, you know what, Jeremy? They don't eat them. That's what I couldn't believe. They can feed people that are starving with this meat. They
no doubt. Exactly. This meat to homeless shelters for uptake. Like,
yeah. You have to read about it, man. There's so much bullet and shrapnel in them.
Hogs doing bacon for a whole lot of hungry people at the very least.
Well, if they kill like 2,000 of them in one night, who's going to dress all of them? That's a lot of cutting, right?
What's really a shame is that they're using conventional off-the-shelf ammunition is what it looks like, and they could be using something that would allow this to all be used, but instead they're pumping them full of lead.
Yeah.
What a waste! What a total
waste! Oh,
waste.
bro, I'd grab a couple of them and cook them. I mean, there's
no kidding.
Not to. Look at these things. They just
heck yeah, it's a full.
I bet you these wild hogs taste delicious.
I was reading on here and I listened.
Well, and you know these are super hogs. They're a cross between wild hog and wild boar and
pigs.
Domestic giant pig. So they're intelligent, they're bigger, and like they're more aggressive as well. It's like they're
a lot faster. A regular wild boar will grow huge tusks, and they won't run fast at all. They just eat to death.
Yeah.
Look at the size.
I'm sorry, but all I can think is this is genocide.
It is.
Oh, it absolutely is.
But hang on a minute here. These fields
are feral super creatures, right? Like
you got to make a decision. The pigs are human beings. I mean, that's where we're at with this. These guys are awesome.
It shouldn't have ever come to that. I can't believe, as allegedly the most intelligent species on the planet that we claim that we are, we couldn't find a better solution than just outright genocide. It seems like we're really primitive. If this was the only way we could deal with it.
Man, there's genocide of human on human going on right now.
Yeah, well, that's wrong.
We gotta stop the wars first. Like, we're almost at the point of World War III breaking out any day right now.
Yeah, and everything
let's
about
stop human genocide as well as animal genocide. But
they
whatever
can feed the world with these pigs. And I guarantee you they're good eating. You ever eat wild hog before? It's good.
Yeah, but not at that quantity.
Ask Rambo.
This is wrong, man. Like,
this
is
is
like a primitive solution.
Noah Hyde 72 says this is what happens when men choose to farm clean animals, written in Torah. So, yeah, I agree, man. I listen. Part of it made me feel guilty watching it, but I wanted to expose this to you guys. This is happening.
This is for educational purposes, and we are watching it on
but I do feel disgusted.
Well, I mean, I felt like, damn, ain't there another way to do it? whoa, they just ran over him. Whoa.
Have you not watched any of the Ukrainian-Russian war videos though? There's literally videos of humans doing
I
this.
can't be part of any stream that pulls up any of that stuff. Sorry, no foreign adversary stuff.
In this video.
Hey, I'm just we're just playing it for educational purposes. This is going on.
Hit play there, Jeremy. See what happens here. Something happens. That's a big one too. Look, that's wild. You can see it through the heat seeking. And that's another thing, they run over them. They're like mice, you know. I mean, you can't stop multiplying them. It's unbelievable, man. Look at that, right through the above the shoulder. That went right through its heart.
Yeah.
That was an ethical shot kill.
Here's more.
The only redeeming factor is that I'm hoping that they suffered a quick demise and that they did not have to deal with the misery of a slow death, which I highly doubt is the case.
I think they have a vehicle that trails them and shoots the
they
ones
had to
that
go
are
back. There was a
behind.
pile of them still squealing, and they were firing rounds into them to finish them off. Man,
This is not only genocide, but this is torturous genocide.
yeah,
This is wrong, man, on so many levels.
I have to once again stress: there's wars of human on human doing this
That
to
doesn't
each
make
other.
this any more
in
right.
several
That
spots
just
of
makes
the
us
world.
an even more primitive species.
Well, like I said, Jeremiah, I was blown away that this is going on. I didn't think I thought you had to have licenses and only so many per person. Well, these guys shot thousands of these things from the videos I've seen over a 2 or 3 night period. They have, man, there must be 100, 200 videos of them killing these things, dude.
Look up a video on the actual Texas statistics and the U.S. statistics of how many there actually are of them and the amounts of cases of these boars attacking humans, because it's they're mauling kids and shit all over.
Well, here's something that's incredible. Here's a video that's called "My New Record Wild Hog Catch." Here's a guy that catches a bunch of them, and they are mean as hell, man. These things, you gotta stay away from these things. You should see. Oh my God, Jeremy!
Holy cow!
You should see this. I'm gonna send this to you. You should see him run into a steel fence. Oh my God!
And they caught an apex predator.
Look at this, man. They're just running into steel fences.
There's
full force.
super intelligent and
yeah, it's you can't approach these things. So what do? You have to shoot them. I hate to be that way, but that video I just posted there, Jeremy, they are literally attacking people through a metal cage. It's what do you do?
Everything in me tells me that this is wrong, but yet I understand the logical reasons for why this may be necessary in terms of justification.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to accept.
Whoa! Yeah, that's the guy there. That's what I just had up. Here we go. Look at that.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Y'all Show. We are back on the clock.
Oh, so they make a hog trap.
Yeah, and it shows you how ineffective it is. In other words, you can't grab a hold of one of these things and just put them in a barn. It's obvious.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not there, man.
They're like
that
top
you'd be dead if it is brother. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
This makes me think about that story about the alleged possession of some human in the Holy Bible, and they're going into the wild herd of hogs and jumping off the cliff kind of thing. This is nuts. This is nuts.
Yeah, there's they've taken over I think half of the farmland or something.
They're all freaking out knowing that they're gonna get shot too.
Yeah, because they're that intelligent. Yeah. So they're fighting for their lives. Yeah. No doubt.
It's like that scene in Jurassic Park, where the raptors are testing the fence and looking for a weak spot.
He's killing them.
Yeah, that shooting fish in a barrel, pigs in a corral, that's horrible. That's poor things. That's less ethical.
We got loaded and we
least
had some bad ones in here, so
I'm really torn on this one, man. Some of the most messed up stuff I've seen in a long time.
But yeah, no, these things they're it's us or them basically. It's crazy.
Oh, and then they got to get rid of all the bodies.
But it's like that could be usable, good source
Yeah, you could
meat
feed it to
for
your
those
lions.
Yeah, even pet food and stuff, right?
Right.
You know, why
I
isn't
feel like with the advance of technology, we could have found a better, more, I guess, humane way.
Joe
to do this.
Exotic would be like paying for like this feed to his tigers.
Yeah, the Tiger King would literally be paying for like semi-truck trailers full of them. But sadly, that's another guy they set up, and he just wanted to have a zoo and some tigers and have his gay mess sex.
I remember that guy. And that was a whole messed up story of somebody who clearly had some mental illness going on.
They seem to be pretty tame, don't they? I mean, what's going on here? What are they? Are they on Xanax or something? Jeremy, what
No,
if
they're chilling because there's no human around. Right? There's no human around.
That they're protecting.
They put a bunch of food inside the trap to get them all to come in, and then the trap door closes on them.
So they're perfectly fine when we don't mess with them, but as soon as we do,
whoa!
Oh wow, they're so smart. They knew exactly where the door was.
Oh my god!
And tried to break it all at once too.
If they would explode,
They are intelligent. This is wrong. We should not be harming other intelligent life.
Holy shit, man!
We need to get somebody that has the hog psychology down. There's got to be a way to like reason with these creatures if they're really that smart.
Most mammals, dude.
And it ain't gonna be by talking to them.
Oh my god, man.
That's
Look
nuts.
at them stampeding when they get like
right.
Look, multiple videos. They know exactly where the doors are. They know exactly what's going on. They realize they've been trapped. There's got to be a way to reasonably reconcile this. If the creatures are this intelligent, then we've got to find a way to communicate with them. Think about Star Trek, right? Many species, many different languages. Clearly, there's no translation, and we're not going to do this verbally, and we're not going to do this acoustically. But there's got to be a way to communicate with these creatures. There's got to be a way. If we really are as smart as we think we are, then we should be able to find a way.
Well, the problem is the numbers. It's hundreds of thousands of them against what, 10 guys? I mean, you saw that field they were on. I don't know how many acres that was, but it just didn't matter where they went. There were hundreds more. It's the number
You
factor.
saw them doing apart a jaguar or a cheetah there too, right? Like,
well, if 10 highly armed hogs came about and they attacked a population of hundreds of thousands of humans,
wow,
and there was no effort to communicate, I'm pretty sure that we would respond in the exact same way, wouldn't we?
Wow, the way
right, well,
that jaguar apart.
Hunting wild boar is a challenging and dangerous pursuit that requires special skills, experience, and equipment.
Look at the size of them.
Hunting wild boar is a challenging and dangerous pursuit that requires special skills, experience, and equipment.
Did he stab that thing in the face?
Yeah. Looked like he stabbed it across its what is it? Your backbone, which you cut your spinal cord, hopefully, on that.
Hunting wild boar is a challenging and dangerous pursuit that requires
Yeah, he went right in with a knife.
special skills, experience, and equipment.
The dogs are trying to take it down. These things have so much strength. They're huge, you know.
I know. Unlimited amounts of food, you know. Look at that. And you know one thing, Jeremy, I think like they can screw their own.
They breed more than
unlimited amounts of them. You know, there's no. They just multiply like dogs.
Like rabbits and mice.
Yeah, they can have sex with their own kids to have babies. Man, that one he dropped is
right, because they're a mixture of like domesticated farm pigs that like how big do they get? Like a regular pig, like a ton, like huge, and super intelligent, right? Like pig valves are sometimes still used in heart surgery, like we're that closely related to like biologically to a pig that heart valves can be transplanted. It's nuts. And that's crossed with the wild boar, so they have these giant crazy tusks that
oh shit!
Oh, that happened fast. I didn't even see it.
Jeremy, do you have them in the northern woods of Maine up there where you're at?
This bears and stuff. I haven't seen boar though.
Because I did see a thing about bears up there, and I saw a guy got killed.
You know what I saw the other day? A porcupine.
Wow, I haven't seen one of them in a long time. Yeah, they're.
I saw two of them out in the. It was like a pair of them out in the forest when I went out.
That's awesome, man. I love porcupines.
Wow.
I usually see them at night in the winter up here in Canada, foraging. It's pretty cool.
I've kind of a funny
So
story
everything's
about coyotes. I was actually, I'm pretty sure it was coyotes that had come up on both sides of me when I was on my dirt bike after I'd blown my chain. And they basically did exactly what happened in that scene from Jurassic Park, where you get the raptor on one side, you get the raptor on the other side, and you've got another one basically waiting behind, and they kind of triangulate around. So they'd communicate together very quietly. I had no idea they were there until I seen the one on my right, and I seen the other one on my left, and they were about 100 feet away. Is when I finally realized that they were there. So, of course, my chain's busted. I can't drive away real quick, but the only thing I could do is basically pick up the back end of the dirt bike and fling it around after starting the engine and just revving the heck out of it, which scared them off. But they were about to jump me. So a lot of these creatures are highly intelligent, and I've always had tremendous respect for the intelligence of nature and the many animals that exist around us. But I had no idea about these creatures.
Oh boy, look at this, man. Run 50 mile an hour. The kids are laughing. Oh boy. That's the only thing about the woods that scares the shit out of me, man. Something like that. If you're not prepared with the high-powered weapon, you're dead.
Yeah, he's scaring it off.
You have to prepare yourself to kill.
Bird bombs.
I think there's a 20-foot rule too. If they're within 20 feet of you, you're allowed to shoot. It don't matter if they're endangered or not. Oh, he's coming back. Look.
Oh, shut up.
Holy hell, man.
These Russian dudes are crazy. Oh, look at this in the bear suit.
Oh, Tekken.
If you happen to leave an egg,
that was great.
It's been educational tonight, guys.
Quite an educational night. All right, I'm gonna log off for the night. I'm tired.
Yep.
But thank you guys for a great show.
Still mind blowing about those guys blowing the feral pigs away, isn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty nuts. And
yes,
you know,
it is, bro.
Almost as crazy as it's unbelievable what they did with the buffalo, though. It's really just that was insane.
And
but yeah,
thank you.
To the degree that Jeremiah is having like trouble accepting its like legitimacy that it's real, that they literally massacred hundreds of millions or billions of these buffalo.
They didn't stop until there were like only a few left.
Yeah. Well,
the craziest story is the guy that
I've been
the
told
birds
better
that have been
now.
killed. 12 billion birds were killed, and they're surveillance birds now. I'm just blown away by that. Man.
Right? Birds.
Yeah, no,
birds
From
aren't real.
69 on, Jeremy. From 69 on, they did this. I'm going to research
Deep did
this.
it all.
No, it's
Right?
nonsense, dude. That guy's he created fake conspiracies just to see if people would get real following and stuff. And
like flat Earth.
it's like people
I'm
really
not
followed
the
it though because
paradox
it's
with
so
flat
silly and
Earth
stupid.
is that you mathematically in physics, like both models work, so you can't prove it wrong to those that wish to believe it. And from a philosophical belief and the law of attraction and projection, if you believe in, in either God or creationism or even simulation theory or any of that, that it's like, well, from your own perspective, you can't prove either wrong or right from your experience, and that's why they use it and abuse it against us.
When's your next live show, Bernie? You going to do something tomorrow at all? Or?
APEC, right? We're all going to be back here
yeah.
First thing in the morning, afternoon tomorrow, and that's why we should call this tonight because it's it's almost 1
APEC
a.m.
at 3 or 4? What time is
8
APEC tomorrow? I can't wait.
I guess 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe. 1 p.m.
All
my
right.
time, so noon Pacific. And APEC is epic, and we will all be there. And we've got
APEC
last
rule.
APEC. What was the name of the guy that presented the elderly one at the end with the twister, the 3rd degree initiation into the twister, and he was like a former NASA guy, I think, or something.
Was that Raymond Chow? No.
I know who you're talking about. I can't.
Yeah, right.
I saw it.
We'll have to rewatch it, and we'll be all back tomorrow. So, to APEC and to Real Science and to Rumble
APEC tomorrow. Sweet. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
Hopefully, I get that space drive ready.
Yeah,
it already works
Yes,
at 6 millimeters, and I might have it working at more. We'll see.
Jeremy.
Cool.
I guess right before we end it, Jeremiah, last updates of anything you want to share on Rumble to get out there about some drive exploding earlier or something, and what?
Mr. Tavares, the inventor of this new style space drive, which is the most elegant and simplified space drive I've ever seen, uses nothing but permanent magnets and motor rotation with these magnets mounted around the disk in a single stator magnet. So I believe I have a pretty good explanation of what's happening on the atomic and subatomic level for where the extra energy is being added and how we're getting a non-uniform and propellantless propulsion out of it. But I simply replicated what he had done on a very small scale, and it worked perfectly the first time. I was extremely impressed, and so now I actually have another meeting set up to get on a plane and go and build a much larger version of this thing that I expect over 1 pound of force out of. And that's reactionless force that runs on not incredibly high energy levels. It will basically run off batteries, classic RC batteries.
Awesome, man.
If I can get the RPMs up, it seems like it's a parabolic curve. I went from 3,000 RPMs to 4,000 RPMs, and the deflection changed from 3 millimeters to 6 millimeters. So it doubled in the change of 1/4 increase. And it looks like if we actually double our RPMs from 4K to 8K, instead of a simple change of 6 millimeters to 12 meters, I expect that we'll probably hit 24. Which means we've actually kind of broken the code here in terms of propellantless propulsion, and we can now get seriously powerful forces with a really, really simple system. There are no gearboxes. There are no complicated extra moving parts. It's just a disc and a magnet that's sitting stationary on the side of that disc, and it works. It works consistently. So what I really want to do now is I want to optimize the forces and dramatically increase them, trying to hit all the way up to about 18K RPMs. And we're going to also increase the strength of the magnetic field interaction so that we can get more spin polarization. So it's kind of like what, FS has been doing in trying to get DNO, but we're finding a way to do DNO with permanent magnets. and increase their mass along a certain axis just simply through field interactions.
So, disc and magnet, rotating discs and magnets are the key, and that
Well, they're just one way, right? They're the simple way. They're not the best way, but they're the simple way.
That's a major part of it, and it sounds a lot to do with T. Townsend Brown's work, as well as the drawings by, oh my goodness, he just passed away recently, and he was your guy. You knew him quite well. Mark Candlish, was that?
Yeah, well, yeah, McCandlish and I had many communications, but
Good old Mark
unfortunately,
McCandlish.
he got a little too close. He was, I guess I'll say this because we are on Rumble, he was outed shortly after admitting that he had a team of 2 different engineers and an advisor that they were building a physical scale model of the ARB. And they had figured out the major operating pieces in the very technical side. And after, I'm tripping over my own words here, trying not to say the wrong thing because I don't need that heat coming down on me. But let's just say that they had made some serious progress, and it was very likely they were going to succeed. So that scale model,
I never
was
heard that
never
before.
coming
I
to
know
fruition.
people know him. Interesting.
And I'll mention this, which is totally unrelated to that, which is we were having a conversation on Discord with our primary focus group, probably the smartest bunch of individuals that I've ever met. And I have several focus groups that I'm part of. This particular one, myself and another individual helped put together, and it's not the one you guys know about. I'm not going to mention where or who it is. But we broke through the whole where the mechanism of action for superconductivity at room temperature can happen. And we found out that there is a quantum superposition that you get a field interaction between 2 electrons with different directions and opposite spins with those 2 directions. And it allows them to pair up, even though they're not technically doing the same thing that a Cooper pair does. They do quantum entangle in the near field. And when they reach the far field, they're still entangled. So all of the losses that would normally cause the dipole moment of the electrons flowing through the conductor to experience what we call resistance were negated because they were not allowed to fluctuate and move around past their attraction to the valence shells. So they couldn't jump anymore because they were tied to another conductor or another electron in a different conductor or a series same conductor at an orthogonal angle. And so the superposition wasn't broken, and it allows superconductivity in most materials at room temperatures. Copper was what we were looking at, and we were also looking at carbon, but we found the mechanism of action for just about anything we can pump down current through. And we think we understand now enough to start build devices and test to find whether or not we're totally nuts or whether or not we've solved this.
Is beyond a huge revolutionary breakthrough right there, and that's what real science is all about. And next step, being able to test it. That's awesome, my man.
Yeah, and we could be totally wrong too. And I just want to throw that out there. We may not have solved this at all, but as far as everybody looking at this right now with our small focus group and with what we put out there in public, of all the things that I've ever said out there that were wild ideas, this one is one of the only ones that I've received not a single point of objection after people have looked at what I'm proposing here. And it's about the geometry. It's about the natural electron flow, the spin orientation and spin synchronization in phase and 180 degrees shifted in terms of the spin orientation that we get this quantum superposition and an interaction where they phase lock to each other and they act like basically the same coupled particle in different positions, but in the same frame of reference with each other. So if it's right, then we've solved it.
Solve quantum locking and superconductivity at room temperature.
If it's right, only if it's right. We'll find out soon enough.
I suspect it is. And right as we're about to end this stream, before we do, I just want to mention prayers are with Dutch Sense. He made a post saying that they made an attack. Someone came after his life, apparently, or something like that, and that he was he also published 2 weeks ago that he was starting to receive active threats again, and he hadn't done a daily stream or his weekly forecasting in 2 weeks' time. And then yesterday he posted that he was ending his YouTube channel and not Dutch says his YouTube, right, hasn't had it down forever, and that he's not doing it anymore, and that they are literally trying to kill him apparently, and prayers are with him, and that that validates real science when they try to silence discoverers that can revolutionize our understanding of science and our realm and advancement.
Let's hope and pray he's okay, man. This is a scary field, and that's just it.
Yeah, it's a careful and delicate tightrope walk to not step on the toes of those who have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo.
Well, once again, if Eric Hecker's telling the truth about the earthquake machines, I mean, that's probably where this is all coming from. It's Raytheon, scares the shit out of me. That's all I have to say about
Same
that.
here.
That's
I had
scary.
no problem backing
These
Hector in
people
terms of the technical claims and analysis, but when we calculated out the total energy that would have been required, it was quite
They operate
substantial.
above the law, right?
Right, so that whole stream, like Eric and I got into the technical details quite deeply, and I did a bunch of calculations live and pulled up a bunch of images too, so that everybody could see the DOMs and everything else, right? Well,
Do you believe in Jeremiah? Do you believe Eric?
Well, I did interview him, and he sort of interviewed me at the same time. So
Where's
I think that his proposal
where's the interview
is.
at that I can watch it? I want.
If I was a MythBusters guy, I would tell you that it's plausible. I would tell you that it's not proven, but that it's plausible.
Right, exactly. I feel the exact same. It's plausible, and I personally believe him. We've yet to find any holes in his stories, and we keep finding more and more supporting evidence. And one of the biggest supporting evidence is being Dutch Sense, and why we have to get them together for a second interview. And that might be why they're going after Dutch, because for those that don't know the amount of crazy weapon stuff that Dutch has actually documented because for his earthquake forecasting, he has to constantly
he's like spot on, right?
Monitor. Yeah, he monitors like all the solar activity, the satellite energy imaging, and all of that. So he catches all of these anomalies, and that's where he has gotten himself into trouble and with the government. And
He got himself into trouble when he linked the anomalies with a coordinated and intelligently controlled system operated by the military-industrial complex. So when he stepped on the toes
that's
of
what
something
I
that's going
technically
on,
did by
that's when
bringing
he got
him
into
and
trouble.
Eric Hager together. So maybe it's my fault. And prayers are with.
In terms of Eric, in his defense, the one thing I will say is he admitted openly on both our broadcast, on Jeremy's broadcast, and on multiple others that he's been on, that he's not saying this is what they did and that they actually caused the destruction in New Zealand, but he's saying that he wants people to seriously consider that possibility and look at the evidence.
And more supporting evidence to that actually is the Nepal quake and the CERN accelerator and a solar flare that happened, and that they turned and tested powered CERN on to its maximum using the CERN flare or the solar flare one time, or when they first powered it up using the solar flare, testing it was when the Nepal earthquake happened, and Nepal is the exact antipode on a spheral Earth from the particle accelerators. So there's also that.
Yeah, and Mr. Hecker did openly admit publicly, with no qualms about it, that he said he's not qualified to make these assessments, and he hopes that other people who are going to look into this with a serious note and consider it. So he wasn't trying to proselytize these concepts or sell them to anybody, it seems.
Yeah,
Well,
he
does
said
the
it
book,
seemed
right?
more like
So
an
there's that.
accident, and that he suspects the main purpose of that. Oh God, what was it called? So I've said it 5 times in the show already. The device in Antarctica.
New Zealand.
The machine, the neutrino detector, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah,
The
the question
device
is,
on
can
it.
the DOMs
But he suspects it is the off-world communication device technology relay
With
machine
aliens.
for an intergalactic space quantum technology communication network, if there is one, and that to tie this all up together, that he believes is what Gary McKinnon discovered and found the evidence of, and that is on Wednesday with Jeremy Reese, alien scientist, has.
You may want to post a link to that interview that him and I did on Rumble, so that if people are interested and they want to see all the technical details that we
on my
went through.
Rumble. Well, so just look up Dutch Sense Eric Hecker interview on my Rumble or my YouTube, and that is the one. Sadly, Dutch wasn't able to make it, and he hasn't really been able to make anything public since then, and has had death threats and now apparently threats on his life since that. So whatever it is, something he's shown is extremely dangerous to them, and prayers are with him, his family. Fuck off, government, stop trying to kill people. Fuck off, dark government, stop trying to kill people. We need humanity to be free. Fuck you. Yeah. And I'm going to end it on that.
Okay.
I can't say that my views conform with the broadcast.
Crazy
today.
mother. Yeah.
It's just burning.